First of all, thank you so much. It's a huge honor to have you on our Quebec radio show, Prescription Punk Rock. But for people that don't recognize your voice, who the hell are you guys?
We're Death from Above 1979 from Toronto, Canada.
Hi.
Bonjour.
It's so cool to have you back. You know, that project have a special place in the heart for people in Quebec, in Canada. But I'm sure, like, did you got a lot of... You guys are not American. It's not a band from the U.S. because I heard that so much, and I think it's positive because the sound is so cool and it's so, and people think that they're from the States.
Yeah, we didn't at the beginning. We didn't really identify as Canadian, really. Not that we're not. Obviously, we are. But our first shows. Yeah, no one asked, and our first show is actually in New York, and then our second show was in Boston, and then I don't think we played Toronto until our fourth or fifth show.
I think our next show might have been
like Vancouver.
Yeah.
So we kind of traveled before anything else. So like we never felt, and we didn't feel connected to the music scene in Toronto really, because we both came from the suburbs, and were part of like the hardcore and punk scenes, like the DIY scenes in the suburbs. So when we moved to the city, I didn't really feel connected to like the Queen Street rock scene or whatever.
Yeah.
So you extrapolate that out, and it's like we didn't really feel like, you know, we belonged anywhere. We were kind of like for everyone. It wasn't until we went to England, and that wasn't that long after we started either, that we were like, oh, we're exotic somewhere. Like we're an exotic band.
You know, when it got me was when we were in Japan, and they were treating us like we were from England. Right, like everyone in Japan was a fan because of English press.
Yeah, well, we did get a lot more press in the UK and in the States before Canada really paid attention to us. And actually, we commented on that. We won an award. We won a video award for Much Music. This is years ago, 2004 or something. And we're being interviewed, and they say, "Well, how does it feel to be, to win an award in Canada?" And we're like, "Well, it's kind of about time because, we've been written up in the press and gotten accolades in the UK and in the States, and it's about time that Canada caught up." And they really didn't like that, and they literally stopped playing our video. We had a video that was, our next video was slated for like wide, heavy rotation, and they bumped it down. They just turned the faucet off. Yeah, yeah. They're so self-conscious and like
conservative, and they don't like. And it's funny.
They don't like
to
be criticized.
Like you said, like the identity is something, but it's not. It's not that from above. Even if you came from anywhere, it doesn't mean a fucking shit at the end.
Yeah.
It's just the fun that you have and everything. But at that time when you released the first records, there was nobody that done that sound, that creating that originality. And I think that's what people, it's UK or it's American. Like those guys are far ahead from what they're doing in Canada. But it was not the case, man. It's from here, and it's so cool. Was it something that came naturally, or you really wanted to do something that was so different from everybody?
My bands before Death from Above were always playing around with what the instrumentation could be. So like the largest band I had before had no guitars. It was just bass and synth and drums and a singer. And people used to give us a hard time. They're like, "Oh, we could play guitar in the band or whatever." And actually the amps that I made the sound with were just the exact same amps I used in that band, but just with one bass. But yeah, I don't know, the idea that a song doesn't have to have like a checklist of, okay, and now we need this sound and now we need this sound. It was more about like, well, if you listen to something like Black Sabbath or whatever, where the guitar and the bass are playing together anyway. So I'm like, well, can't I just be as loud as a guitar and a bass at the same time? Couldn't I just fill that hole? I mean, that's the core of the idea. And also, there was no one else around that still wanted to play. We didn't intend on this band being the two of us, but there was just no one else came around. And then at a certain point, we're just like, this is enough.
Yeah, sounds good enough.
Yeah, it's like like an impressionist painting, like a Monet doesn't have the details, but you still get everything that you need. And it's not to say that we're impressionist music, but
I think we are.
It is there to some extent. Certainly when we're playing live, it starts to sound pretty Monet-ish. I'm going to try my best for it to become a Picasso or a Basquiat.
That's so a great example, but you're right, man. And I think that, when you do something, it have to make you feel that it's alive. And that's the thing. Musically, like what you create, it was not meant to change the world, or it was meant like to do something that mean a lot for you guys. And it's crazy that we look at that at your career, and those like the first records had so much meaning now and have influenced so much people. But still, every record is different, and you still continue on that path of trying to challenging yourself and doing something different.
You nailed it. That's exactly. Now I don't have anything to say. That's the whole point. We have to kind of challenge ourselves first. But that's how you maintain your own engagement with the thing, right? Like, to keep it from being stale. Okay, what haven't we done? Let's try to do that. And each lesson, holy shit. Each record that we make teaches us a lesson that we apply to the next one. So a certain song, if we hadn't made Trainwreck, we wouldn't have made Freeze Me, because the thing we learned in Trainwreck about how we could use a piano and then still use it, have samples play it live, oh wait, maybe now we can make Freeze Me. What can we do next? Like, it's always trying to build off of that.
We grew up in the era of Milli Vanilli, a band that we discovered weren't really doing anything but dancing and moving their mouths, right? So the idea of using samples live from a kind of punk rock perspective, it seemed wrong. But then you realize that like we make the records ourselves. We've had producers, but we're playing everything on the records. And when you hit a pad and a piano comes out, for Freeze Me, that's not only one of us, that's both of us playing piano, because we did all this double tracking and recorded Stevie Wonder's piano and recorded this crappy old piano and recorded it on a sampler, and we recorded that sound with a bunch of different instruments. So when I hit that pad, that's still us playing, it's just us from 4 or 5 years ago. But it opened our minds, or opened the possibilities up to just be more creative.
That's the thing. And you mentioned punk rock. That's the cool thing about punk rock. It's all about being creative, being DIY.
It should be.
It's not everybody. I know what you're...
because I think that's the... We who love the punk music, when we hear those things where you can tell someone has just gone through their checklist of ideas and sort of just like musical tricks or whatever, that's why we don't like it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's something, you could listen to something like, everything here is right, except something about it is wrong. And I think what it is that we're hoping to see, like, hey, that's the point of this music, this genre. What differentiates it from everything else is that this is supposed to be where we try new things. This is supposed to be where we don't have rules. So if we don't have rules, why are y'all making music that fits in the box perfectly? Why are you being so safe? This is supposed to be the place where you don't have those restrictions, right?
It's so true.
This is supposed to be the pop art of music to some extent, right? Where you're rewarded for trying new things rather than
just try to reproduce what you like, because there's a lot of band with their first records. Oh yeah, I love Blink-182, so they go in that direction. But you ain't gonna be Blink. Blink was Blink because they choose a different path. They love pop,
and then you're Sum 41.
You're Sum 41. You put metal and the pop thing that you learn about the Descendants, and then you got Hall, which is a good example. Hall was never like big or something, but they were a prog punk rock band, and they influenced so much musicians. Like, whoa, man, they're doing that. So we use a little bit of that, and you use a little of that, and we create that, and you create something that is good and it's original and different because you took everything from the best.
But really, you shouldn't be. I mean, when you're creating, I think when you listen to music and it kind of sounds like they're taking from a bunch of different things.
A collage?
Perhaps they are, but I don't think it's deliberate. It's just a rendering of taste and ability. Also, like when you're making music, you're also working against or with your own ability. The restrictions, what you can do, you know, how he can play, how I can play, how I can sing, how I can write. So
I can
always
sing.
I can sing, I can dance.
You do. I don't.
So you're always pushing against, you know, what you want to do, and what you can do, and the limits of your ability. And so, and in our band, in our case, we're always pushing against that ability, like trying to just push it a little bit further. You can't do a huge leap where you go from, you know, whatever. I don't have an example, but you go from, you know, some crappy or whatever, some really lo-fi, let's say ESG, like a disco band that they're good, but it's kind of a loose, you know, disco sound. You don't go from that to Yes in a record, right?
Yeah.
AFI is a good example of how changing you can do, but if it's made too quick, people are not prepared for that. The punk rock fans were not prepared for the changing, and now when you see the band, they play with it now, and they understood like their kind of new songs, but it have, like you said, like it have to be slowly, like not just like rushing people to do, okay, we're gonna do a record from Death from Above, and it's gonna be a country record, guys. And people are going to be, oh,
Pretty good idea, actually.
it's a good idea. Let's try that.
A friend of mine suggested that not too long ago.
That will be interesting because, like I said, there's so much style in That From Above. We're talking about punk rock, but there's so much stuff. When any musicians that listen to it are like, man, those guys know their thing. They're no music.
It's an approach. It's not a sound, you know. That's why you have the Clash and the Sex Pistols. They don't sound like one another, and the Clash sounds like a million different things on whatever record, you know. So I learned that early when, like, punk rock was just a word, and then I started listening to it, and I go, oh, it's a way to approach music, or a way to approach art, or a way to approach life, or a way to approach aesthetic, or whatever it is.
It's true.
So you can't box it in, you know, if you, yeah.
It's and I think what Joe Strummer did with the Clash is not closing any door, because I'm gonna learn about music through that journey, and I won't make rap. I want to include rap or reggae in my music. So if I just go with the Clash direction from the first records, I cannot do that. Fans gonna be disappointed.
Clash.
What
You
about
know,
when Dee Ramone started dressing like Ice-T?
I love
And
that.
he got a flat top, and he had the
I love
gold
it.
chain and the mock.
What was his
the
name? What was his
turtleneck.
rapper name? Wasn't Dee Cool, or was it? No, was it? Something-
We listened to the records a couple of months ago at my friend house. I did listen to it, but we listened to the whole thing, and we were laughing. But he didn't took himself seriously, so I think that's why he get out of it and just.
Yeah.
Well, that's like
It's very cute.
You know, the evidence of how it's like about trying things and pushing the boundaries. If you like, look at G.G. Allen. Yeah. Now, so I don't know what I can say on the radio here, but like, no one can throw shit again, right? But he found the wall. Like, that's as far as that could go. And after that,
That's as far as he could throw shit.
well, but anyone to do it now, it's like, well, it's been done. And I think the beauty of this music, and I think the reason why musicians are even attracted to punk as an idea, is that, hey, this is a place where people are going to try. We're going to let's see what we can do. And the whole core of this band just being the two of us, it's punk in its inception. And it's the arrogance of us saying, yeah, we don't need anybody else. Actually, these songs are done.
Yeah, they're done.
This song, that's all the parts. Yeah, there's three things. It's over.
Even on our first record, Al, who was helping us make the record, you're like, so there's no more words in this song? You don't want to add, I don't know, write a chorus or something? I was like, I guess I could write some more. It's like, it was basically an instrumental song with a couple of 2 lines, and I thought, that's good enough.
Yeah.
It's like, you should probably write a little bit more. I was like, okay, I'll write a little bit more.
Because for you, it was done. That was it.
Yeah.
It's cool because you mentioned G.G. Allen. I did an interview with Fat Mike where he told me that he was in San Francisco when he attempted to a G.G. Allen show. And when the feces throwing part arrived, he took Jello Biafra as a shield. And Jello got all the shit.
That's the best use for Jello Biafra, for sure.
That or Mare.
Poor Jello. And he's a great dude. I met him, and I'm sure he was just the victim of Fat Mike. Death from Above, welcome to Baie Saint-Paul. It's a really small place, but such a beautiful place. The festival is original. It's different from what you saw, for example, at the Festival d'été of Quebec. How you felt, man, playing back, and you play at the festival. How's the run so far?
It's been pretty good. I mean, we're lucky that we're able to do both. We were actually given the option a few months ago to play Le Festif or Festival d'été, and the offer for Festival d'été was like, oh, it's a big audience, and it's on the main stage. It's like there was all this nice stuff that they're adding in, but then we saw the offer for Le Festif, and it seemed so much more interesting. And we've done Festival d'été before, so we're like, let's try something new. Let's play this festival that they're doing weird stagings, and it was like the idea was like a smaller audience but a cooler vibe. So we're like, let's do that for sure. And we accepted Le Festif, and then Festival d'été came back and offered us an after-show party. So we get to do both.
After a small band, I think it was Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah. You mean profits from Rage?
How crazy was it? I'm sure it was jam-packed. You played right after the show. How was it?
Our show was great.
We couldn't hear them from where our stage was, but we did hear them sound checking, and people were singing along. Like we could hear the people singing the things they were told to sing louder than the band. But I mean I guess that first Rage record is like 30 years old. Yeah. It is an old. So those people singing along weren't born, probably when
a lot of them.
Came out.
There was a lot of kids. Maybe in their 20s that wasn't there.
But then again, any teenager that watches us tonight, if they know the songs, they are remembering records from before they were born. I guess that's just normal if you've done it for long enough. I mean, how many Rolling Stones fans were fans in 1960?
The first wave.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been saying this.
They'd be 80.
Saying this for years, but like, you can walk down any street in any town. And I'm not recommending you look into children's bedrooms, but you can look into a room and you see a teenager's wall, and there's a Jimi Hendrix poster on the wall. It's like, how do they? Same thing for me. I started listening to Jimi Hendrix. I don't know why. What did I do? I saw the CD. He looked cool, and I bought the CD when I was 12 years old. He'd been dead for at least 15 years, or I don't know. So,
I think like my theory about that, because I've got a little girl. She's 12. And we were talking about the Clash, and I got in the car. I bought like the greatest hit. It's like 45 songs from the Clash. So I was listening to it, and it started, should I stay or should I go? And she was with her friend, and they start like singing, and they know every words. And I'm like, whoa, what's happening right now? I don't play that much the Clash, so you learn it by heart. And she said, oh, it's on TikTok. And I say, okay, I saw maybe TikTok in a bad way. There's maybe a good thing about it. So I think that they're learning slowly, and through like Stranger Things and everything, it's just they're getting to what we learned from our parents, I think.
Yeah, it moves around real easy, and it's very simple for them to find it. Hey, I'm interested in this. Click, 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 click. Oh, here's everything they ever did. Oh, here's things that we've never heard. Here's every rarity, every live bootleg, whatever. It's all there. All at once. Very low effort, but
I used to have to go to a special store. There was a special store in Kingston, Ontario that had furniture and bootleg CDs. So if you wanted some like weird, live something record, you'd have to go there to find it.
I went to Kingston a couple of months. It's still open, or?
The record? Oh, I have no idea. This is 30 years ago.
The chances are really few that it's still open.
Yeah, probably not. And who needs bootleg CDs anymore?
Yeah, some of the records was so like into that, like bootleg records at $35, and they sound like shit.
That's a YouTube video of the show. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So we have video bootlegs now.
Yeah.
It's true. Like when people record the show and everything and put it online,
that's what it is.
It's the same thing. Good point.
That's what I'm here for.
Clear the thing. So that from above, how's gonna be the rest of the years? Is there's new song in the air? How's gonna be for 2022 for you guys?
I like that phrase, new song in the air.
I can feel it.
Be a title or something.
We were listening to Phil Collins last night on the bus. There's some really great Phil Collins.
I love Phil Collins.
I love that you're in your years where you can put Phil Collins on the bus. I feel like that's new.
That was me remembering buying those records as a kid. Why I wanted them and going to the record store to buy them.
Funny thing, my mother bought like. Do you remember? I don't think it was the Raisin brand, but it was Raisin, like singing like classic song, and she. And she bought the soundtrack, and there was a Phil Collins song, and it really got me when I was like maybe 10 or 12 to Phil Collins.
Quincy Jones do the wasn't that a Quincy Jones thing? I'm pretty sure it was him. Like
You used to be able to get the tapes at like Shell gas stations. If you bought $25 worth of gas, you'd get a tape.
It was the best selling from every gas station.
Oh yeah.
You'd get it for free if you put enough gas. At 13 cents a liter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the joke. The real joke.
Guys, it's cool to have you here. Thank you. You never forgot Quebec. You've always been there for us. And thank you.
Far more in Quebec than we have in Ontario in the last 2 years.
Poor Toronto, like it's.
No, I'm kidding. Fuck them.
There's nothing poor about Toronto.
They don't have any place to play anyway.
You should hear what he says about Quebec when we're in Toronto. Jesus Christ.
Quebec has always been good to me.
Like the people in Quebec in general are cool, but the journalists, oh god damn.
A little bit of self-loathing.
No, I mean I think
you gonna be okay later.
there's been a like a rock scene and a rock appreciation here that's different than in Toronto. Always been that case.
But Toronto had such a big scene at some point, so there's always an explosion. But after that, it always fell slowly apart for many years. But I think it started to getting back to it, because I remember like when Billy Talent Sum 41 explodes, you guys were there. There was so much great band.
The people behind those bands, the business side, were all in Quebec for both those bands you just listed.
DKD.
That's all. That was all from Montreal. So like, no one from Toronto made that happen.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So
No. So it's actually, and we worked with them too. So that's like, Quebec was very important. Like Toronto didn't care about it.
And we're conquer people. We don't get it.
I like that you list the two you list right away. I'm like, Quebec. I can see the office. I can see that weird sex club across the street. I know exactly.
You guys are real true warriors. I mean, like you said, you choose the Festif and not playing in a big crowd because, you want to live an experience.
It'll look cooler for us.
The moral of the story is that we got to do both.
Yeah.
If you didn't see like the site and the stage, you're gonna freak out. It's surreal. It's so cool.
Our crew has been there already, and they said it looks crazy, but I kind of want to.
The two guys.
Yeah, the two guys. We're a small group.
You think like there are 20 people? It's always two guys with Death from Above.
Crew. The whole crew went there earlier, and they said it was crazy. I kind of want to save it. I want to walk in and have it be like when a boxer walks into the ring. Like, what is? I want to see it and be overwhelmed by it.
You're gonna love it, guys. Thank you for your time and generosity. It's a fucking huge honor. And man, thank you for still, doing it DIY with the punk rock spirit and still conquering the fucking world, man. When it's good, it's good.
I know this is that you're wrapping up, but the best things that have been happening in music in every genre have been because everyone has adopted the DIY. Mm-hmm. Drake is DIY. I hate to say it, right? But that's all the best rap music stuff that's happening now. They're putting out their own records. They're doing it however they want. They're in control of everything. The internet's allowed them to not need to go to anyone and say, "Oh, please, mister, put out my records. Oh, is it all right if I sell this shirt?" No, everyone has figured it out, and it all starts from this music. And so we sometimes have to remind ourselves, "Oh, yeah, that way worked the best."
Yeah, because we get.
So true. Like when I'm listening to the Wu-Tang series, and like the first Wu-Tang records, it's one of the greatest rap record of all time, and it was fucking DIY.
Oh
Like, if you get so many people with a lot of money involved, they're going to try to change you. They're going to try to change the sounds, and it's not yours. Like that from above, it's you guys because you got the talent and you got the drive with that. You don't need anybody to say, oh, Sebastian, you don't have to do this. You have to do this and put an higher note. Just do it yourself, and like it worked.
We've done major label stuff before. We've done it for many years, and aside from certain infrastructure advantages, distribution, all these things, and maybe a very aggressive radio promoter or something, but that's a person. There's nothing, they can't really offer us anything. And I think that if we were younger, more impressionable, not over 6 feet tall, they would be able to tell us what to do, but at no point were they able to tell us what to do. And it wasn't because they tried. We would walk into a room and they'd be like, oh, okay, do whatever you want. You know? So
Don't try, man. Those guys will not say yes.
But also the point is that basically no one has good ideas. Yeah. Only the artists have the best ideas.
Of course.
And there's not a person in the music industry. There may be, but it's not a population of people that are, genius creators or genius marketers or anything. It's so rare to find a very truly talented person in the industry, in the sort of the peripheral industry. All the artists you meet are genius, right? But the people that are floating around, it's a structure of opportunity, really, more than anything.
It's a business, and when it comes to business, it's not like when you work. It's not like when you.
Business ideas are better when they come from us.
Yeah, we do have great business ideas.
And at that point, with the experience and what you've been through, you know where you want to go. You know what you don't want. So it's just like fuck the crap and just do what it's cool about it.
And then it's easier. It ends up being easier even when it's more work, because it makes sense while you're doing it as well. It's easy to stay motivated, and that's why part of the reason why we're still here.
And congratulations. Thank you for still losing money in the name of music, for creativity. But guys, thank you so much. Before we leave, we're going to celebrate our 14 years anniversary as a radio show. Can you do me a quick ID? Just keep it simple. Just this is an happy 14 years. Something like that. You can freeze.
What's the name of the show again?
It's Prescription Punk Rock.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we're Death from Above 1979, and happy 14 years of on-air incredibility.
2 more years until you can drive.
Yeah. How many years? 4
3
more years until you can drink in Quebec?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
Party time.
No beer till then.
Prescription punk rock.
Yeah.
That's you're entering your real punk rock years now. Like 14, that's an important time. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, those are your important punk rock years.
You guys gonna celebrate 20 years this year's or next year's?
We've already celebrated.
It's already happened, because I think the first records was released in 2003.
2002.
God damn it! I should make my research.
Yeah.
It's okay. But those songs were written in 2001, which is still
22 years.
Blows my mind. Yeah.
Crazy, guys. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Keep doing it. Keep loving doing what you do. And thank you, man, for the
Oh,
Thank
Mean
you.
the world.
thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.